So we have a little bit of a problem. And that problem is that Congress is going to screw over the American people once again. And actually, it's worse than what we originally thought. Here's what's actually going on. Right now, there is a fight to see who is going to be the Speaker of the House. That is a major problem. Currently, the expectation is it's going to be Republican Kevin McCarthy. However, Democrats are going to do whatever they can to slow that down. That's actually creating additional problems, and I'll address what those are in just a second. But Republicans are also holding out on voting for Kevin McCarthy at this point. So as of making this video, we are still waiting on the House of Representatives to vote again today, which is January 5th. This would be the 7th vote for the House Speaker. Now, here's what I can tell you. We are seeing Republicans and Democrats delay legislation. For instance, we have a problem down at the border. And we heard from the Secretary of Homeland Defense just yesterday. This is Alejandro Mayorkas. And he said, and I quote, "There's no question that the number of encounters that we are experiencing at the border is straining our system." Guess what? He needs Congress to step in. And guess what? Congress cannot do that because technically we have no members in the House of Representatives. They're all representatives elect. That is it. So we cannot pass legislation because we technically do not have a House of Representatives. Now, Alejandro Mayorkas also went on to say, no one disagrees with that. We just can't seem to agree upon the solution. And the solution is long, long overdue. Within the broken immigration system that we are operating, we are managing the number of encounters, and we are prepared to address the end of Title 42. We've been preparing for this since well beyond last year. But then he also went on to say this, and I quote, "We have 10 million job openings in the United States. I was reading about what Canada is doing to address 1 million open jobs. They're bringing in about 1.3 million migrants to fill that labor need that cannot be met within their own borders. President Biden sent forward a comprehensive package on day one of his presidency, and it has not yet occurred." Okay, here's the big thing. Currently, for every unemployed person here in the United States, we have, I believe, 1.7 open positions. Now, the Federal Reserve wants that to get 1-to-1. One unemployed person to one open job. And until we can get there, the Federal Reserve is going to continue to increase rates, push inflation down, and push the United States into a recession. Now, here's the big news. To bring in, let's say we have 10 million open positions, and I don't know the exact number as of today, but let's just use the 10 million open positions. If we have 10 million open positions and we need to bring in 10 million people to fill those positions, guess what? That brings on a completely different problem. We're bringing 10 million people into the United States. First off, you'd have to find 10 million people that are coming in. Now, I don't think that would be too difficult if we just opened up our borders, but we shouldn't do that. Or, well, I don't know if we shouldn't, but we can't. We can't afford to do that. Because, like I said, the Federal Reserve is attempting to slow down inflation, which means they need to slow down employment, which means hiring 10 million people is going to be the worst thing we can do because that would push inflation back up. And guess what? If inflation continues to rise, we are going to have to see the Federal Reserve jump in, right? Push the U.S. economy into a deep recession. And if we have a recession on top of inflation, that is going to devastate millions and millions of Americans. Now, here's what I can tell you. If we see the Department of Homeland Security call on Congress again, like they have been, well, the problem is Congress currently is not a full Congress because we only have the Senate. We do not have the House of Representatives as of yet. We are still waiting on a Speaker of the House. Now, this is an issue, but this issue could be resolved today. Here's what you need to understand. As of shooting this video, again, there is still no Speaker of the House yet. But the expectation is Kevin McCarthy will be the Speaker of the House eventually at some point. The only difference is How is he going to get there? Now, we're already 5 days into the new year when we don't have a speaker, right? But on top of not having a speaker, we do not have new set of House rules. And by not having a new set of House rules, this means committees will not be able to pay their staff. Okay. This also means student loan payments that are going out for the committee staff. These won't be dispersed either. We also know without a speaker, this means that we won't have a fully functioning committee, where all committees will not be fully functioning because they will not have a leader. They will have the most senior representative will be the technical leader, but again, it's not the actual leader. And without a leader of a committee, we can't amend or approve any bills. And if we can't amend or approve any bills, that means there's really no legislating at this point. So the Republicans' plan of passing all these bills within the first few weeks of the calendar year, well, that's essentially put on hold because they need to be able to approve and amend these bills first. Again, that's a problem. But how can we address these issues? How can we address the issues at the border? How can we address not having committees, fully functioning committees? Well, the first thing we have to do in the House of Representatives is we have to elect a Speaker of the House. So here's where we're at. As of last night, Kevin McCarthy, after his sixth vote, six votes in, he cannot be approved to be the Speaker of the House. He has not received the 218 votes he needs to win. And this is a problem because now we're going to be on the seventh vote. So what's happening now, and late last night, what happened is Kevin McCarthy got his Republican critics together. And he simply asked them, what do you want? What can I do for you? And they told him. But the nice thing is he's open to concessions. At least that's what the reports are saying. Well, according to the reports, the Republican holdouts are simply wanting plum committee seats. That's what they want. Now, the reports also indicated last night that Kevin McCarthy said, okay, you got it. So this means that we should have enough votes. He would be the Speaker of the House, which means hopefully we can start getting some legislating done. Now, here's the expectation. Kevin McCarthy will be the Speaker of the House eventually. It's going to happen. We don't see Republicans, pushing to elect, a Democratic speaker. It will be a Republican speaker. And if that's the case, it will likely be Kevin McCarthy. Now, the other option that Democrats have floated, and this got floated late last night, is they would provide enough votes for Kevin McCarthy themselves. So they would get enough Democrats together to vote in conjunction with Republicans and push him over the 218 threshold mark. Now, if they were to do this, the exchange here would be they want a rule that allows the Democratic leader in the House to bring bills to the floor that keep the government open and funded. This means, and this has to happen probably before July, is the Congress is going to have to address the debt limit. They're going to have to increase to the debt limit. If they don't, we will likely default on our debts, okay, as a nation. So that's the first one. The second one is any government funding bills, okay? So those are two of the concessions that Democrats would need if they decide to jump on board. However, one thing we heard this morning from multiple media outlets is that Democrats do not want to even contribute to this. They don't want to help out the Republicans because it's a Republican problem. But again, the issues at the border, passing legislation, child tax credit payments, the debt limit, right? All these things that, anything for Social Security, anything right now, it's on hold. Because again, in order to pass a bill, it has to go through the both houses, the House of Representatives and the Senate. The same bill has to pass, then it gets to go to President Biden's desk. Even if the Senate wanted to pass something, they couldn't. They could not pass something because it also has to go through the House of Representatives, which means any bills that are even being considered can't even be passed simply because we don't have any members. There's no members in the House of Representatives at this point. So again, that's how Congress is screwing over the American people once again. They're all fighting to get a leg up on the people across the aisle. And in doing so, it's screwing up the American people, screwing up our border situation. Honestly, things are not looking great. I was thinking 2023 was going to be, much better, but as of right now, we can't even elect a Speaker of the House, which means there's additional problems that are going to come. So every single day that we delay this, again, there's more and more problems. So again, as always, as I know more, I promise, I'll come back on and share all latest news and updates. Again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.